What's up, everybody? Welcome back to FNG Academy. I just had a quick announcement. I'm proud to say that we've been helping people get selected for 3 years now. I've been getting a lot of messages about people thanking us and saying that they just graduated from selection and they got selected. People graduating the Q course. One of my buddies just sent me a video from the Charlie committee. He asked, if you guys have ever heard of the FNG Academy, raise your hands. And all their hands went up, and it just filled me with pride. So part of the way that we do that is making sure that you guys are physically fit and ready for selection. And the way we've been doing that for the past couple of years is by sending you to a Green Beret we know and trust, Kevin over at 18 Alpha Fitness. So if you want to get selected, you need to be in the best shape possible, and you need a programmer who knows what they're talking about. So go check out Kevin over at 18 Alpha Fitness. Use code word BUCK to get a discount. Tell him we sent you and hook you up. Congrats to everyone who's been getting selected lately, and we'll see you guys on the next one. What's up, guys? Welcome to this episode of Beers and Breakdowns. In this episode, we're doing another amazing episode of an amazing show, SEAL Team. And I don't just say that because the man, the myth, the legend is sitting right next to me. Fucking Tyler Gray, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Not only are we reviewing another episode of this show, we're doing it with one of the dudes in the show, one of the creators of the show.
Not a creator, but I definitely, I'm one of the people that works on the show, for sure.
You've got some inside knowledge.
I've got some inside knowledge. Yes, that's 100% true. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I just see what you do as part of the creation process, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. Yeah, absolutely, that's true.
So, creator.
I'm not going to win this one.
All right, guys, so let's jump into it. We're so excited to talk about the show and then have some real background about what takes place. So instead of me and Kurt just guessing and talking all this shit about what we think we know, and come on, we don't know. We're just watching a show and talking about whether we like it or not. I can't wait to ask this guy all kinds of questions about what it's really like to make this show, what goes behind the scenes, what I love about this show. And honestly, not just saying this because you're here, there's not too many people we could sit and do this with that we could just be honest, because a lot of them would get offended by what we had to say.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's TV, you know. There's a lot that, it's not, people ask me all the time, like, how real is it? It's not real at all. It's a TV show. There's nothing real about it. We're never going for realism. What we're going for is authenticity. It should feel authentic.
Nice.
But it isn't real, and it isn't even officially authentic. You're just trying to portray the feeling of authenticity while within the confines of a network TV drama. So there's a lot of confines, or there's a lot of, that's a box that you have a lot of rules. People would be shocked if they knew how much rules you have on network TV, because again, like, this show exists so that people can sell you toothpaste.
True.
That's the reality of it. Is in between all this cool stuff is ads for you to buy something, and those advertisers
think about that.
No, actually, and I'm saying that
because I just dreadfully wait for the ads to end.
Yeah, but Chris Trulak would always say that, like, we're here because of the advertisers, and that's absolutely true. So at the end of the day, we're trying to entertain and provide provide a platform for people to be entertained. And if while being entertained we can kind of put across a message or give them insight and understanding in a world that maybe they weren't a part of, then that's even better.
We did a good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know what's crazy is you talk about the box that you guys have to work within, and how you're trying to portray authenticity, right? And how that you guys do such a good job at that when other people fail miserably. And because we always talk about the other shows that came out along with SEAL Team and how they were very similar, but none of them lasted because they didn't provide that authenticity.
Well, and I think what you're bringing up is a critical point, and that, in my opinion, is, when you're portraying a world like this, and I say this to people all the time, just because, I'll give you an example. I've literally never played golf, ever. But if you put a novice player and Tiger Woods next to each other, and let's say I don't know who's who, right? I'll be able to pick out which one's the professional.
Sure.
I know nothing about golf, but I can watch at those two swings and go, yep, that guy's one of the world's greatest golf players. Same thing here is we cannot at this point underestimate the audience's ability to understand what looks real and authentic. It doesn't matter that they've never been a part of this community, just like it doesn't matter that I've never played golf.
Yep.
I can recognize, though I don't know it, I can recognize authenticity when I see it.
Yeah.
And so we have to stop underestimating the audience and recognizing that they will be able to spot that authenticity.
Yeah. That's a great point, dude. That's a great point, because on this show, the audience tells us more than we know. The audience
probably more than I know. I mean, they pick out stuff all the time.
They love this stuff. They love guns. They love tactics. They study this stuff. A lot of them were never military, but it doesn't matter because they eat it up, and they're the biggest supporters. Yeah. So it's like
airsoft community.
Airsoft community is huge. They love this stuff.
Before we filmed a single episode, I said, like, hey, I want to get the gear. I want to get everything right. I remember I said this specifically, and I said, look, the military doesn't have to like it. If they just don't hate it, that's a win.
Yeah.
I had they don't have to like it, but if they don't hate it, it's a win. And
because we automatically hate everything.
Yes, no, exactly. Sure. If they don't hate it, I'm like, we're home run territory. Yeah. But I'm like, for the people that like that stuff, the airsoft community, I'm like, they will love all this stuff that seemingly doesn't matter. It matters to someone, and if we can portray it accurately and we can add that authenticity, it's going to set us apart because no one else is doing it.
Yep. Yeah, I find myself, and we'll jump into the scene, but I find myself constantly apologizing to non-military. As a Green Beret, I'm apologizing to non-military because I didn't do my research a lot of times. And it's like, if I didn't do my research and hit them with the real facts, then they get upset because it's like, hey, didn't you look into this? Like in Vietnam, these are, tunnel rats was one I got really a lot of backlash for. And it's like, you know what? You guys are right. Like, you're fans of this.
What movie was it?
That was, I think it was Platoon. Was
William
Dafoe was a tunnel rat. When I was watching,
tunnel rats, it's fascinating.
Insane.
I'm shocked that no one's made a movie about tunnel rats because it's so.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was an actual job.
Oh yeah, it was. So you want to hear something crazy? What do you think tunnel rats went in with? What was the most common
pistol? Right?
What kind of pistol?
1911?
No, the most common pistol for tunnel rats was a revolver.
Less, so it can get dirt in it and with less malfunctions.
A, more reliable.
Yeah.
B, you're in a tunnel. If you have a 1911, first of all, a 1911 is not the gun to get dirty, as we all know. Yeah. But secondly, a revolver is the only gun that can take contact shots and not dislodge the slide and therefore make it inactive. So tunnel rats, a lot of tunnel rats would use revolvers.
Which means they got to be even more Johnny on the spot.
But again, what's the difference between a 1911 and a revolver? One round? That's not worth it. You know? So one round versus, 1 round extra in a 1911, which you can have the slide disengage and not be able to fire. In addition, is if it gets dirty, it's not going to fire. Mm-hmm. A revolver is going to work all the time. And so a flashlight and a revolver is what they would go in there with.
Insane.
There's exceptions, by the way, obviously, to that. But I research tunnel rats a lot. It's fascinating, but
well, you're not the only one. There's a ton of people out there that love tunnel rats, and they were like, "Buck, you idiot!" And it's it's like, "Oh, sorry, let me look into it." And then I saw it, like, "Oh shit, that's a real job."
Yeah,
those guys were insane.
Culture, yeah.
Hey, let us know when you make your tunnel rat movie.
I know. Yeah.
There's some concern the Estonians might be reluctant to arrest him.
They're in a delicate situation diplomatically. Sadly, some Serbian hardliners still regard this guy as a hero.
So he fought in Bosnia?
Commanded a Scorpion division.
Oh, that's not good.
No. Daliak's personally responsible for the murders of over 1,000 Bosnian Muslim civilians.
What, so he's an arms dealer and a war criminal? Lazy's not lazy. Well, it's been like, 20 years since we went after a war criminal?
Daliak's weapons have killed dozens of American servicemen.
All right, so my question for this scene, my question to you with Tier 1 operators is, who's giving you guys your intel? So, like on an ODA, we have our Fox, and he's digging up our own intel. He's like he's going through and digging up our own stuff, right? So, But every time they portray Tier 1, it's always like some outside entity that's coming in saying, hey guys, this is what we need you to do.
Somebody in a suit.
Is that accurate?
And the answer is it depends. It could go either way. I mean, obviously this is fictionalized, but yeah, sometimes you'd have the agency doing the briefing. Sometimes you'd have the briefing being, internal from, your officer, or it could be the entire. I mean, it could really be anyone. The briefing would come by the people who generated the intel. If that makes sense. And we had a lot of self-generating
actionable intel on your own.
We generate a lot of our own intel, but then obviously, the agency was quite common.
Okay, so follow-on question is there when they come in to do those intel briefs, are you guys like really receptive to them, or is there some kind of like headbutting, or is it just dependent on the person? How does that work? Because I know that when in these shows, a lot of times, I get it, they're trying to dramatize it, but it seems like there's always like some conflict, like, hey, do this, and we're like, and then it's the butting of heads. Or do you guys respect, like, hey, this guy clearly knows what they're talking about, otherwise they wouldn't have made it to this point to even brief us this mission? I
mean, I would, and this is just my opinion, both could happen. Yeah, because for me, and again, just being, low on the totem pole, I don't care. It's not. I mean, I want to understand things, but like, if you just give me a door and I'm gonna go blow it up. Yeah. It's like all of it. I'd like to know it. I'd like to have awareness. I'd listen and I would take it all in, but at the end of the day, I'm just the axe.
Yeah. I don't care about this guy's background. I'm going to do it regardless.
Yeah.
Right?
It's funny.
You tell me he's this, and I'm going to go.
Right.
I mean, literally, in a briefing, I would sit there, and I'm like, I wouldn't really, and I'm not going to say I wouldn't care, but the time that it got my full attention was when my team leader got up there and said, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, okay.
Right.
Because everything up until the actions on target is really
it's negligible. It's not your
it's not my responsibility. It's something that I need to know, but it's not something that is and actually let me add to that. It did change over time. So in the beginning I would kind of be like, yeah, whatever, okay, that's what we're doing, okay. Later, when I started going on target and seeing different things, and then I started wanting to know, hey, that guy we grabbed and all that stuff, whatever came from that. So I did start caring more. In the beginning, when I was super junior, I didn't really give a shit, to be honest with you. Later, I started seeing how it all kind of related, and how me understanding who this guy was would help me determine how he kind of fit in the grand scheme of things, and then what to look for. Another one, it got more important to me as I learned more.
That's funny.
As you matured as an operator.
Yeah. Ignorance is bliss when you're younger.
Yeah, same thing with me. Was like as a Bravo going into operations in Afghanistan, I was like, I don't give a shit. Like Jerry, our Fox, he's like, dude, this is why, and this is the valley, and this is what we're gonna do, and this is why it's a big deal. And I was like, Jerry, I love you, bro, but you already thought about that, so I don't have to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no, send me to the spot and point me in the right direction, and let's go. So like, people be on podcasts, be like, what valley were you in? I was like, I don't fucking know. The one where they're shooting at us, and I was shooting back, my guy, because like, I didn't care. But I see where you spent the time to make that transition, because clearly, Jerry and the more senior guys on the team made that transition, and I just wasn't there yet. I was just point and shoot.
And I didn't start there either. And just over time, you start to see where it all kind of comes together, and it does get much more important. And it took me some time to get there.
Nice,
cool.
Yeah, I'm all ears.
That should be good.
I've let it be known for some time now that I'm
Find vehicle-to-vehicle interdiction is pretty damn badass, and if we ever got to do one for real.
Ray, it's a low-vis hit in an area where you're not low-vis.
Wait, pause real quick. Pause.
I didn't catch that the first time.
Oh yeah,
that's how I felt about you in Montana, bro. We went to Montana to film, and I was like, Kurt's standing out real hard around here.
No, but that's But that's the funny race stuff that happens. That there's nothing negative about it.
No,
It's
and
just,
it's true.
It's funny.
It's true and it's funny. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, go ahead.
I think we reversed that later in another episode recently where Ray's the only one who can be seen.
Nice.
I think we're in Africa. I forget, but yeah, we kind of flipped it and thought it was funny.
Did he? I hope he joked about it. Multiple things I love about this is the train up is like the closest thing you can get to doing the actual thing. And so watching it, it's like, yeah, that's what you would want to do, is as close to the actual thing as possible. And in other shows, they'll do like tape on the floor and like, piles of wood to represent certain things. In this show, it's always a well built out structure. The boat's fully built out. The you guys are in a connex or in a hangar running the actual scenario. How much of that was you telling them, like, guys, the train up is just as important? Like, how did it come to be that you guys put so much emphasis on the train up instead of just treating it like it's not a big deal?
Well, so this is a great example where reality works great for cinema, and that is, when you're filming a show or a movie, you always the term, and you hear it a billion times, how do we tell this story visually? It's a visual medium. A book is, written medium, but this is a visual medium. So the simple thing is, this is a mini action sequence. And by selling it as, no, we would really do this for real, now you can show the train up and show a visually good mini action scene. It's not, there's no actual stakes, but you're also foreshadowing what's going to happen in the final scene. So it's like, and also what's great, which I don't think we do it here, but in other things, you'll show the training, what it's like if it goes right. That sets up to the audience what happens when it doesn't go right.
Right.
And you're able to know by what deviated from the train up.
Nice.
So for us, it was, we basically explained, like, no, we would do a full mock-up. And if it was a hit
in a tier 1 element, you're doing a full
you're doing
mock-up.
a full mock-up, because if you're to be perfectly honest, in my opinion, if you're not, it's not worth it. Like ticker tape or engineer tape
why?
It's not worth it. You're not seeing, if you're not seeing the angles and seeing the environment, it's not really worth it. And more importantly, you're gonna screw up so many things in training. You know what? We shouldn't do it this way. We should do it this way. All those things, if you work it up for real, you will make the actual operation go infinitely more smooth. And don't get me wrong, there's a million times where you can't have any train up because it's just
time sensitive.
But for a definitive mission like this, you're always training a full up rehearsal.
How much time would you guys typically have before, like, real world, before getting your Warno and then execution to do this? And do you have a fixer like in the show that kind of takes care of where's the hangar going to be, what vehicles you're going to use?
No, not. I mean,
or is it like an ODA where you guys are figuring it out?
No, we had like an operations person, but it's not really like in here. But no, we're not rehearsing, like we're not rehearsing for any missions, because we're pretty much getting the briefing at 11 o'clock at night and doing the mission at 12:30. Like, right. There's no.
Oh, so everything you guys are doing TSTs.
It's just well, they're not TSTs. They're more. They're not TSTs because we know what we're gonna do, but there's not enough. We're just briefing the mission and then going to do the mission like an hour or two later.
So on the fly all the
time.
A
purist TST would be we're in the team room smoking and joking, and they come in and go, and then you're just getting the mission briefing on the comms.
Okay.
But like, yeah, we would. The thing that I loved about being at that place is that, and I'll give you a great example. Exactly what I just said. I remember a TST. I remember playing Xbox. They came in the room and they're like, get your shit on, go. Got our stuff on. We were outside probably within, I don't know, 5 minutes. I'm running to the helicopter. I get on a Little Bird. I literally have no idea what we're doing. None.
No shit.
Zero. I remember flying towards the target, dude. And I remember getting some stuff, no intel about what it was, but just some specifics. Hey, we're going to come in on the south side, blah, blah, blah. And I remember my team leader saying, I was breacher at that time, and I remember my team leader saying, when we get, because we were flying in, we were landing on the roof, and he said, when we get within sight of the target, I'll point the door.
Huh.
And
so you're
I remember
literally getting that step by step.
And I remember thinking, cool, that's all I need.
Yeah.
All I need is the door, because after that, it's CQB.
You're doing
it.
And think of it this way. In my opinion, the military overplans. A plan is a list of things that don't happen. When you run a blank day, live day, blank night, live night, by the time you get to the live night, which is when it would actually happen, you've already ran the damn thing 4 times.
That's true.
And here's the thing, is it's all going to change.
Yeah.
So if you just understand what needs to happen and you're all trained up on CQB to a level that it doesn't matter. I don't care if I don't care where they're at. I know how to adjust to that. All I need to know is what door do you want me to blow up? And from that point on, everything is just our what's it called, our TTPs.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
That's
that
so
gave
cool.
us huge flexibility because we didn't have to do a big briefing. Just go do it. And I love that about that place.
Did you have the pilot just on standby all the time with you guys?
Oh, they were living in the same building. Yeah. Or same different building, same complex.
So
you guys could be playing Xbox together.
Yeah, that's a
Neither one of you know what's going on.
Right there, yeah.
That's a huge separation from tier 2 to tier 1. Like,
yeah, right.
Your pilot's living with you. That's insane.
Yeah, they're in a building over.
That's why for us that would never happen to where 5 minutes and you're on the bird, because it's like, well, wait a minute. When did he get here? And we would be standing out there for 20 minutes waiting for him to come in and then getting washed out and then
it was look, there's some stuff that
it's
was
cool.
like super cool.
Yeah.
That was cool, yeah. That was cool. I
said,
fully admit it.
Yes, it is cool at times. Like, it's really damn cool.
Yeah.
One thing I've always been curious about, and so like obviously the scenario you're talking about, you're already in theater.
Yeah.
Right. So how realistic or how often would it be where, like, even in this show, you'll see guys are just at a party or something, and then all of a sudden everybody's pager goes off?
I mean, it's rare. It's obviously rare. Yeah, we portray it on this show all the time, but it's very rare. It does happen. And some people it happens to more than others. Like, I know a guy who's just happened to hit a ton of those,
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty rare.
Okay.
But it does happen, absolutely.
Yeah.
This episode was directed by Larry Tang, who's a great director.
On the move. Copy.
So here's
Pause.
Here's an interesting tidbit: is if it was real, you wouldn't see the earplugs because we would have the hidden ones. But if you use the real thing, then the audience sees nothing.
Yeah.
So it tells no story.
Okay.
So you have to,
you have to show something, so it looks ridiculous. But if you didn't have it, it technically looks more ridiculous because
you're just
it looks
talking
like
to
you're just talking to
Because
yourself.
that's your first thought. It's like, oh, who's not going to see this?
I mean, now you'd be running
yeah.
it on a a Bluetooth iPhone type system. But again, we had it, but it just looks stupid.
Yep.
It looked, you know what it was? It looked fake. Because it just looked like the person was talking to themselves, which is how it would look. But so we had to put the earpieces to make it look.
Did you try it the right way first?
Oh yeah,
and you were like,
it looked horrible. It looked horrible. Yeah. And dude, you'd be shocked
crazy.
at how many times we have to do it the fake way because the real way doesn't look
right.
real.
You got to dumb it down.
Wow.
That happens a lot.
So for me, this scene, I love it because it just shows the versatility of a special operations unit, and even as Green Berets, we train this type of stuff, and to me, this is the cool stuff. Blending in, and people think gray man. It's like, no, it's not tactical pants and beards, and it's
gray is you look like everyone else.
You look like everyone else. You walk around cowardice. You walk around not staring people in the eyes, not giving eye contact, not being a tough guy. You're like just be like everyone else, and we're so afraid to actually be like everyone else. We dress in a way that we want to stand out. We want to be noticed as operators or tacticians or people that look into the stuff. But to truly blend in is to be so insignificant.
Yeah, truly blending in is just looking the same as everyone else, meaning not special
at all.
You know, and here's the thing: is the only way to truly accept that, to look that way and act that way, is to realize that you're that way. You're just like everyone else. Like, you know, you're not, just because of the job you did doesn't, you know, we're all just people running around trying to do the best we can.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is walking into like Seattle Airport or Charlotte Airport and being like, oh, team guy.
Yeah.
Team guy. It's like the cool pants, the boots.
I was on the
REI special.
Yeah.
I was on the beach in. I was just on vacation in Florida. You came down and saw us. Where were we at? Destin.
Destin, yeah.
And I was on the beach, and as soon as I got to the beach, my wife goes, SF guy. And I was like, oh, yeah. He's got the team hat. Or no, I'm sorry. He didn't have the team. His wife had the team hat. So his wife had the Ranger Battalion hat on with the curl brim and all this stuff, Ranger Battalion. And he was obviously a team guy in Ranger panties. And to me, as a civilian now, though, it felt good because I was like, if something happens, I know I could trust that guy. I know me and that guy are going to figure some shit out.
You just reminded me of a really funny story. So this is, I think, a year and a half ago. I was driving from LA to Vegas, and I came upon a really bad wreck. Really bad. Truck ran into the back of a semi-truck. It was on fire. Anyways.
Jeez. And
we got the guy out and got him to on the ground, and we had to put a tourniquet on him. It was bad. I have pictures of it, but literally the tires were exploding off the truck. It was bananas. And finally the ambulance comes. I mean, we were there for probably 15 minutes before any services came, because it was in the middle of nowhere. And finally the ambulance comes, and they grab the guy, they take him off, and then I was like, it's time to pop smoke, because you don't want to be there when they start asking, like, who helped? You know, it's like, I'm out. Job is done. And so we're like taking off, and this guy, and you can, if I point him out in the pictures, you'll see, but it was me and these two other dudes, and one of the guys, we were going, and I'm like heading to my truck, and he goes, hey, aren't you on SEAL team? And I stopped, and I was like,
No.
I was like,
what's that?
Yeah. And he goes, oh yeah.
Shut it down.
It was so funny. And I looked at him and I was like, yeah, I am. He's like, yeah, I'm former. I can't remember. He was in the service.
Yeah.
And he's like, nice to meet you. I was like, awkward way to meet, but yeah, good to meet you. Have a good one. And
I don't think I'd be putting myself out on a limb if I said that is not the way to pick up on you.
All right, yeah, here we are.
He was raised better than that.
How would you know?
What my son is referring to, Stella, is the fact that I was away from home quite a bit, even before his mother and I split up. You see, being a father and being a Navy SEAL, that's a contradiction.
Doesn't have to be.
Go ahead and pause it.
Kind of like being a woman.
All right, so that's C. Thomas Howell. C. Thomas Howell plays Robert in Red Dawn.
Like the original?
The original.
Which one was? We've watched
Robert,
Red Dawn, and we've had
Robert
Dawn.
is the cool character who's freaking shoots the freaking dude out of the back of the Hind gunship.
Oh yeah,
Robert, the best character in the fucking movie.
He doesn't.
Robert's the one that loses his parents, and he's like, you know, all that hate's gonna burn you up, kid. Keeps me warm.
Oh yeah, there's an old picture right there.
Yeah, it doesn't even look nearly
him,
like
dude.
him.
That's
crazy.
I mean, when I sat next to him on the read-through, I was like, "Oh my god, Robert!" Like,
That's
I mean,
badass.
literally, it would be impossible to overstate how much Robert influenced me as a kid.
That's crazy.
He's got so many quotes. So the scene where Patrick Swayze's like, "What makes us different? You know, if we, you know, what makes us or them?" Or sorry, it's Charlie Sheen saying that, and then Patrick Swayze's like, because we live here, and he goes to shoot him, and then he's like, ah! And he can't do it, and Robert's like, I'll do it. Shut up, Robert. And then he's the one that just points the AK at him and sprays Daryl. and then Daryl fucking grabs him and freaking like drips blood down his freaking white thing, and then he like kicks him off.
Dude, I gotta rewatch
Oh,
that.
dude,
know,
Bro,
Robert.
you get me pumped into it.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, but I sat next to. I worked with him on several episodes. I directed him in an episode, and finally at the end, when it was his last episode, I directed the last episode he was on, and I was like, dude,
I'm a fan.
I'm such a fan of like, I don't do that. Like, I worked with a lot of people that I was huge fans of, but that I was like, dude,
it sticks.
Like Robert was like, oh yeah, that was a fun time. That was a different time, man. But
that's crazy.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Bayou probably figures even if our airport play was a bluff, we'd be too scared to grab him in the middle of all those people.
Guy makes his name machine gunning civilians, and now he wants to hide behind them.
From a diplomatic relations standpoint, it's even worse than the hotel.
Fine, I'll tell you what, we just intercept him before he gets to the square.
Yeah, we do. Davis, give me the current imagery.
Vehicle to vehicle.
Just like we planned.
Cue me up.
All right.
Any route they take from the hotel to the square forces them to go through this intersection right here.
This is the channelized area right here. Actually,
I just love this planning, but to me, the note that I made when I was watching this was like, this just turned into a nightmare. So not only do you have a vehicle interdiction when no one's expecting you to be there, but now you have a prior special operations guy who also knows you're in country, and even if he doesn't suspect that that's your route, he's still gonna know that it's a possibility.
Yeah. He's
so
gonna be
it's
prepared for
literally
something.
Yeah, it's literally fucking DEFCON 5. It's like worst case scenario right now. It's like we're going after fellow special operations that we've worked with before. He knows our TTPs, and he knows that there's a highly likelihood that we're gonna try to do this interdiction to get a high value target. It just became one of the most like dangerous situations possible.
Yeah, it's so the way it works on a show is so again, the structure is there's 5 acts, and at the end of each act is got to be a cliffhanger because that's the commercial. So back in the day, the reason they set that structure up is because the cliffhanger was intended for you not to
change the channel.
Exactly, which at that time, by the way, was kind of hard. You had to get up and actually go do it. Yeah. Well, that kind of went away with remotes because you can just change it. But the whole cliffhanger ending was to hold your attention to get back to watch the commercial break. So the way a 5-act structure works is you do something, it's got to go wrong. You do something, it's got to go wrong.
Right.
You do something, it's got to go wrong. And then finally it works out. So in every 5-act show, you've got 3 to 4 things have to go wrong. So a lot of times when we're setting this up, we have to intentionally complicate it to adhere to the 5-act structure.
Yeah, which worked for me. I loved it.
Yeah, and it's the key is how can you make it not seem ridiculous?
Yeah.
You know?
How do you keep that authenticity?
And some episodes are less authentic, because just like we've had, sometimes you have to dig deep and like, well, we could complicate it this way. Suddenly the guards come back, it's really just, again, goes back to all the things that you have to do to keep in that box.
How many things are changing along the way for you guys as far as filming this, or is it so set in stone, like the writing's done, they memorize their script, by the time they get to filming this is what it is?
I mean, it's a very different show. I mean, we at this time for action in season 1, I mean, dude, we would have action that just said like a couple, you guys do this and then you do this and then you do this. Like, we wouldn't have any of the dialogue. It just
so they could naturally flow with it.
Well, so the problem is, and you guys know this, but if we had an action scene and if they wrote it in detail, he goes down a hallway and then he encounters this and he goes down to a room. When we get to the filming location, the terrain will always dictate the action.
Yeah.
So what we learned is just stop writing the details. Let's just write in what needs to happen.
Nice.
And then when we get there, I'll look at the terrain and go, okay, here, and here, and then we'll reverse engineer the CQB accordingly.
It's like what you said earlier about, a time-sensitive target where you don't know what's going to happen when you get there, but you guys are so well-trained, you've worked together long enough. I'm sure a lot of these guys could probably do some CQB better than most people.
I never taught them or we, because not just me, but we never taught them specifics like of CQB.
Mm-hmm.
All they were ever taught was fundamentals and concepts. When you enter a room, gun has to go this way, gun has to go this way. We move down a hallway. So we just taught them all of that. So they are able, all of those actors are able to do CQB much better than they think.
Right.
But they're good at it.
Yeah.
We don't rehearse most action sequences. Most of them, they just do it because they understand how it has to work so well that they can just flow with it.
It's like,
so they'll know where they have to get to, they'll know where to say their dialogue, but how they get there doesn't matter.
That's awesome.
So we're able to we film this stuff very quickly because of that.
I think that's probably what makes it feel so authentic too, you know?
Yeah, and it does. It feels like it's not canned, because it's not, because most, two takes are generally never exactly the same, because again, we're flowing through it a little bit differently.
Cool.
And then what I would do when I was in there is I would know what the actors had to do, and then I would consciously be aware of camera, and I would do little tactical things and fill little gaps in camera.
Nice.
So it's like if I knew that there was a direction that no one needed to go, but it would kind of look like no one was going that direction, I'd move through camera and go that way so that when you see it, it looks like
we're not upset about it when we're watching it.
Exactly. Nice. And that's what I would put all that stuff on me, because it's, CQB is easy for me. It's easy for me in the scene to just look at what needs to happen and then just plug it in myself.
See the holes.
Yeah, it's so simple.
Because no one else can see the holes.
No, and it's so easy for me. That's why I'm usually start either in the front or the back. And that usually I'm either in the front, I'm leading something in, which is usually the start of the movement, or in the back, I'll see where the movement's going, and then I'll cut through camera to kind of
fill those spots.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. Gotcha, bitch.
Come on. So this is straight heat ramming the vehicle.
Beautiful.
Right here, straight heat style.
Pause. I love this whole breakdown. So one that I loved was them in that truck.
Yeah.
All waiting.
Yeah.
Because, and I've said this before, like Denver SWAT team has a particular vehicle that they use to transport the team and to be undetected. And I didn't want to say what it was for obvious reasons. And everyone's like, oh, we know what.
Prius. What?
We know what vehicles they use. It's very obvious. And it's like, no, they're not all military style vehicles to transport people. And it's like, you think outside the box, and it's like, what could fit a group of guys that could just blend in? And you threw that in there too. So it's not just representative of what military would do, it's what SWAT teams would do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I thought that was really cool. And then the hit scene, the violence of action, is a way to turn the suspected, okay, we're special operations, we know they're coming for us, but we don't know when. So how could we counter that is violence of action.
Yeah.
And that's going to throw them off their game. No matter how trained you are, you're not trained to get hit by a vehicle and think at the same time.
Yeah.
So that
you're thinking it's a car crash.
Exactly. Yeah. So I love that. That violence of action, like mitigated his special operations experience.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just dope as shit.
Because it wasn't an overt military action. It was started as a car accident.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, oh my God, now I got to get my insurance, and then you're about to get smoked.
He's in the alley.
All right, pause. So here, you guys, I remember they talked about it, but just having you here, let's talk about again your decision to use the AKs.
Yeah.
Clearly, you had thought behind it because you put it in the show.
Yeah.
You specifically talked about why you wanted to use.
Yeah, we wanted to use local weapons to not give it an American signature.
Boom.
Yep.
Like.
And I forget where it is. We'll find it. But there's another piece that is very small. I'm sure no one recognizes it, but there's a really cool scene that I'll point out that goes along with that. So go back to AJ. Oh,
All right, pause.
You can't see it. That sucks. So if in that scene, AJ never puts his gun down. Can't see it as edited.
He doesn't trust him?
Correct. Yeah.
Rightfully so, because that's one thing I thought about.
It was a big deal where I was like, no.
Yeah, you're not going to let him walk out with this firearm.
Jason can chill because that's they had to have that character beat of Warrior and Warrior kind of going, we're cool. So fine, I'm like, Jason can lower his gun, and Neil can lower his gun because he has to go deal with the guy, but AJ needs to point it all the way until he's gone, and then AJ
still hold the door.
stills back while he's holding it around the corner. But again, that moment was
I
filmed.
fucking love it.
It's filmed but cut for time.
See, that's what I'm talking about. It's like that's the only
There's
thing
so
I was
much
thinking.
good stuff that gets cut for time.
I was like,
but I remember that scene. I remember it very specifically.
Because you wouldn't just let some dude with a gun walk behind you and then be gone.
That was. I mean, that was literally a 30-minute me making sure it all made sense. Yeah.
But here's the part that I loved about it, because honestly, I wasn't even gonna mention that because it bothered me a little bit, but I was like, they're boys. I can get past that easily because they trust each other, and there's still 3 guns in the room.
Yeah.
And they're 3 tier 1 operators. They'll handle business, right?
So originally he just put the gun down, and then I was like, no. He needs to put it away, and once he puts the jacket over it, then Neil can drop.
Yeah, because that's enough time for you.
That's enough time. That draw time, he's fucked. There's no way he could do it. So yeah, I remember that very specifically.
The biggest part, the part that struck me about it is angles, and somehow people can't figure out that hallway. They're always pointing their weapons at each other.
Yeah.
And you guys had everyone at the sides of the hallway, so you could actually have angles, and every single person in there could take a shot.
Yeah, and again, that was just setting that up at the moment, because they needed, originally they were opposing at each other, and then again, Larry's a great director, and again, Larry's one of those people that when it came to anything tactical, Larry's just like,
do the right thing.
Dude, yes, show me how to do it, or not show me how to do it, but set it up.
Yeah.
And again, that's and again, Chris and all the executive producers would hire directors that were like that. You know,
I mean, it's brilliant.
And quite honestly, if we got a director that wasn't like that,
it would be a nightmare. Because
it happened, and they didn't come back.
Nice.
And that's not because of me. I don't have that power. That's because of the actors. It's like, dude, that guy doesn't know what the show is.
Yeah.
Don't bring him back.
Yeah, because it's little stuff like that to where we could watch it and go, I love this show.
Yeah.
Because, like, that little hallway thing, there's nothing worse than having 2 people pointing their guns at each other, which happens all the time.
You're out of the scene. As soon as that happens, you're out of the scene.
I give up.
Done.
You guys are actors pointing fake guns at each other.
Yeah.
You're right. But the minute, and it's like 2 feet, but the minute they both took those 2-foot steps this way at the end of that hallway,
and you see
their angles are perfect.
It's very definitive.
Yeah.
And I believe it's Neil that comes in and then takes the steps off.
Oh, they actually showed them taking the steps out?
Yeah, I think
I just saw the angles when they were standing there.
If you watch Neil, it's Neil who does it.
Okay.
Because I think Neil comes in second, if I remember correctly. But and again, that whole setup was to, and again, like for me, setting that tactical part of it up is, it's just written as all of them are in the hallway pointing guns at each other.
Nice,
That's how it's written. And then it's like I had to set it up to where they wouldn't shoot each other if something happened, but then I also had to set it up where AJ can continue to basically point at him as he walks by. You know, it's like there was all these requirements that had to be met to adhere to the story, but then also to make it gel tactically.
Nice.
And that happens a lot on the show, but that was an interesting one just because it was was kind of the first scene of that nature on the show.
My only son spending his life following my footsteps.
I'm
I'm
erasing
not following
them.
your footsteps. I'm erasing them. You think that being an absent dad is because of the teams? You were absent because of you.
Would you spare me the psychobabble?
You spent your whole life looking in the mirror. You think that's the kind of man I want to be?
Brilliant. Wait for it. I'm not talking shit yet.
Clay,
Pause.
don't do this.
Who the put Max in that bullshit ass flaming ride,
dude, that's the same thing I thought when I saw
like, yo, that car is not Max worthy, bro. That shit's so lame.
I don't honestly know where it came from.
Like, it's like an extra from the Fast and
I don't
Furious
know where
lot.
it came from. I mean, our transportation guy, Nick.
He's like 13 seconds. Boom, boom.
Yeah, I don't know where. I think this is. I think this is.
a weekend.
I think this is the first episode where it's seen, if I'm not mistaken. I have no idea where it came from.
He ended up having a different car, didn't
No,
he?
he
Later
kept
on?
this
Oh,
like, the
did
whole
he?
time.
He
Yeah.
kept this the whole time?
Kept this the whole time.
Nobody
yeah.
came in and spray painted over those flames for him?
No, I can tell you
Come
this.
on, guys.
Whoever owned that car made some good money. I can tell you that.
Jeez.
But yeah, AJ got a motorcycle. I had 2 different cars. Only one wife, 2 cars.
Like, in all honesty, I tried to find something to talk shit about, and the only thing I could find is Max Flamer ride.
It always felt a little off to me. I don't know where it came from. Yeah.
It reminds me of what's his name in Fantastic Four? Yeah, Flame On.
Yeah.
Who played that character? Chris Evans.
Chris Evans, yeah.
When Chris Evans played that, it's something that his character would drive.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
So, Max, we love you, bro. You killed it, but your Flamer ride's
I'm 99% sure he kept that the whole run. Yeah.
He should have went and spray painted the flames right off that thing.
I forgot there was flames in it, actually.
Polish. We operated
So-
with him in Afghanistan. 13 years.
It'll
Polish
show
Special
me-
Forces.
He was withdrawn.
Oh, yeah.
Right here. Stop.
Here's a
Notice what I'm doing?
Like cleaning a mag?
I'm loading the magazine
With your gloves
with
on.
rubber gloves.
Nice. For fingerprints. Hell yeah.
Nice.
I couldn't tell what
Nobody
you were
would
doing.
notice.
I just
No
saw
one
the
would
magazine.
notice.
the
No one
little
would
things.
notice, but it's right there. Yeah. Because we're trying to have a 0 American signature, I'm loading my magazine wearing rubber gloves.
I dig it.
Yep. So again, there's a
You know what you
shocking
remind
amount
me of right there is Opie.
From Sons of Anarchy?
Sons of Anarchy, the best friend.
No,
Yeah.
I've actually never seen that show.
Oh,
It's crazy.
great show.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
I've never seen it. I have so many shows. I've never watched any of the John Wicks either. None of them.
I'll forgive that, but not Sons of Anarchy.
I worked with one of the guys from Sons of Anarchy too, which is totally,
Which makes it worse for you
I know,
that you haven't seen
But
it.
you know what? Actually, it helps out when like I had never seen. Like I have a habit. Okay, Will Smith's an example, an exception. I saw all his stuff, but like I didn't watch Wolf of Wall Street before working with Margot Robbie. I didn't watch Vikings before working with Travis Fimmel, because it's like then you see him and you don't. You're just kind of like you don't know that you haven't seen a million shows that they've been on. So it's
You can't fan out.
yeah, it's just exactly. It makes it easier.
All right.
But
And to be fair, when I do the podcast, I do the same thing. Where it's like I'm not gonna dive in specifically for this, because then I'm just like rehashing things that I found instead of just connecting with the human that's in front of me. And then let's just talk about what we talk about.
Yeah, that's kind of how I do it too. Yeah, I try and not, and sometimes like there's obviously people that I've seen a million things they've been in, but yeah, it helps. I mean, look, every all the big celebrities, everyone just wants to be treated like a normal person, and the more that you can kind of put that out of your mind and just see them as whoever they are, it always helps, have a good working relationship with them.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's the end of this episode of Beers and Breakdowns.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
This was awesome. This is a
was
huge
great.
thing for us. The first time we've been able to watch a show with someone involved in the show.
Oh, yeah, awesome.
Literally looking at your face right now.
I
That's
know,
pretty
so-
badass.
Yeah, much longer hair, but
Yeah, dude, it's so cool. So thanks for coming on, dude.
Yeah,
I
thanks for
appreciate
having
it. If you guys haven't seen the podcast, if it dropped before this or after this, I don't know when it's going to drop, but Tyler's on the podcast as well. And then go check out the Extra channel. We have Patreon. So if you guys are still looking to get selected for special operations, we do a Patreon and we do mentorship type of content. Check out the Ruck Trainer and just know that our boots are coming soon. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
thanks.
Peace.